Okay, so as I was saying, I have my MacBook connected to the Clear Touch panel, and I am also logged into the Google Meet on the Chromebook, which is on the desk to show what's happening in the classroom. You could also switch that and have your Chromebook connected to the Clear Touch panel and your MacBook showing the classroom. So in addition to all of you that are online, as well as our in-person student, we have set up a couple of different Chromebooks with sample students so that we can show you what your capabilities are as the teacher within the Google Meet. And I'm going to have Tyler act as the student, and we're going to go over some tips and some troubleshooting as we move along. Okay. So the number one rule of successful Google Meets that students cannot log into without you is to have this Google Meet link be your starting point for every single meet. Okay? Now, how do we get there? And I'm going to demonstrate here because we're advocating using the pens this year and just wiping down the pen in between each use. So what you'll see here is that I generated this Meet link. So for me as the teacher and for every single one of my students, whether they're in person or at home, that should always be the starting point. Okay? Now, I'm just going to click on that to show you what that will look like in a moment. So when I click on this, it's bringing me into this Meet space. The first adult, okay, so the first Somerville School District employee that selects that link to get to this screen right here is the host, okay? So that means that they will have the host controls to do some of the things that we're going to show you, like muting students and also removing them from the Meet. So it doesn't matter if I select join now, if I'm the first one to select join now. If I was in this Meet space, but Tyler selected join now first, that doesn't mean that he has the host controls, even though he hit join now before I did. What matters is who clicks on this, which adult, not student, clicks on that first to get to this space. And then we would choose join now or present. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to this Google Classroom, and I want to show you how to make some changes here. So if you don't have this Meet link generated already, you can go to your settings, and we will scroll down to this area right here. You want to make sure that this is toggled on so that it's blue, or it might be green depending on the overall color scheme of your Meet. But you can also from here generate a new link if you needed to. So yesterday we had a couple of reports where teachers said that students were in the Meet prior to the teacher starting the class. What I suspect may have happened is that the students weren't removed from the session from the day before or the week before, and the student didn't close out the tab. So that allowed the student to go right back in and be there before the teacher. So we're going to show you how to remove the students to make sure that you're the last one out, and then that will make sure that you're the first one in the next time. But to be on the safe side, if you wanted to reset your link, you could always do that by clicking here, and then it will generate a new link. Now that is a great thing to do if you wanted to have a fresh new link to make sure that students can't get in before you. But just know if you've copied this link and shared it with anybody, like a parent or something, that link will no longer be active, okay? And if a student was to click to get this link anywhere else, let's say I emailed them the link directly, they can access this Meet at any time. This here This meet link right here is the only way that we can ensure that students are, that we're the first ones in and that students are the last ones out. Okay, do we have any questions about that before we move forward? Okay, all right, good. So let's keep on moving here. Okay, one of the other questions that came up is some Google Meet view. How do we see all students? So last year we were using Google Meets, and I'm going to stop presenting here, and I'm going to back out of this for a second, and I'll come back in.
Just make sure you mute yourself.
Perfect, thank you. Okay.
Mute the sound.
So I'm back. And what I want to bring your attention to now are the participants, just so that you can see all of the participants here. Let me present my screen. Thank you. Okay, so if we click on the people icon, we can see how many people are joining us in the Meet. And we're going to go over some of the host controls that you have in a moment. Before I do that, though, I want to bring your attention down here to these three little dots in the corner to get to your settings. Last year, we enabled grid view, which helped all of the students be able to see everyone else in the class. And then it started to act a little funky for a while, and it wasn't really working that well. So what we did was we're advocating to remove that and just use this layout, because Google recently launched better layout options. So if you click on that and go to change layout, and this is something that you want to share with your students too, so that they can also see everybody, is to make sure that it's untiled. And then it's defaulting to 16 squares when I go in, but you can always increase it up to 49 based on the number of students that you have in that particular Meet. That does need to be changed each time. For right now, it hasn't been sticking, that setting, but that's something that you want to teach students to do as well. So it's tiled, and you want to up the number of participants based on how many students you have in your class. 49 is the maximum number. Okay, questions about that layout? All right, so one of the things that we want to go through now are the host controls. Okay, so we're going to have Tyler is going to be demonstrating as our VDV student. And I'm over here as the middle school student. I should put it like a hat on or something when I come over here and be this one, but we'll just let Tyler take care of that for right now. Okay, so when we are in this group, this view right here, and I see my students, right now everybody's muted. But what happens if Tyler unmutes himself and we start getting a lot of feedback? Okay, if Tyler is unmuted.
How's it going? I'm talking.
And I don't want him to talk right now. Tyler, it's not time for you just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and find Tyler, who's actually the VDV student.
And if you'll notice there, you can see who's talking by those green dots that are moving. If I stop talking, you'll see they stop moving. So if you're ever going to look and find someone that's talking, and there's people that are not muted, and you can tell by whoever stops are moving.
Excellent, thank you. So what I want to do right now is mute Tyler. So I will click on the mute button, and then it will tell me that they can still unmute themselves, but that I have now successfully muted Tyler until it is his turn to speak again. Okay, so you want to look out for that. I like to have this view open so I can see all of my students. and also know who's speaking and who is muted and not muted. We'll do the kicking them out at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I want to note, bring your attention right here to the host controls, because you have the ability to either allow students to share their screens and also send chat messages. So if you wanted to turn those things off for a meet, for part of the meet, what you would do is, and I'm going to close this to show you exactly how to get back in there. You're going to your list of individuals who are in your meet, and then you're choosing host controls from right here. And then you would toggle off if you don't want students to either share their screen or send messages. Now, you might only want to do that for a portion of your lesson, and then you might want to enable it just to kind of remove those distractions. So now that I'm done speaking to the students and letting them know what I want them to do, now I want them to be able to share their screens or interact with one another. Now I can come back and just share the screen and enable chat messages again. So it's that easy that you can navigate in and out of those options depending on what's best for your class at that moment. Pop back here just to make sure that I'm on track. Okay, now screen sharing, we just went over the ability to allow students to share their screens, but this can also be helpful to you when you're troubleshooting some issues that you may have. So I have right now the ability for students to share their screens. So Tyler, as the VDV student, he's going to, let's pretend that he's telling me that he's having some issues right now with his computer, and I'm trying to just figure out what is going on. So I could say, okay, Tyler, share your screen with me. Let's take a look at what's going on. And he would share his whole application window. Okay, I'm just gonna pin that one. Okay, and what that's doing is now I can see his screen and I can see what other tabs he has open. He has Clever open, Google Classroom, his email, and he was doing something else on Google. So I can say, okay, let's count over from Clever, that's fine, Google Classroom's fine, your email's fine, but I want you to close out that tab on the right of the, right there, on the right of the Google Meet, and I want you to stay in that space while we're working, okay? And then I can tell him to stop presenting, or I can have him stop sharing.
The other way you can also control whether students can share or not share, or if you want a student to stop sharing and they're not quite getting it, you can either start presenting and that will bump them out, or if you go back into your host controls and just toggle on, let people share their screen, it'll pop that student out, and then you can always turn that back on. Okay, so if you ever get a kid that's kind of in there presenting and they're not like letting it go, you can go in, toggle that on, it'll bounce them out, and then you can reset.
Okay, do you want to try that one more time just so we can show them how to do that?
Sure.
Okay, so Tyler, please share your screen with the class. Okay, fast forward a couple of minutes. We're good. That's all we need to see. Okay, Tyler, please stop sharing your screen now. Tyler, please stop sharing your screen. Okay, I don't want to take any more time away from my class, so I'm just going to go over here and say, nope, no more sharing your screen. And he just immediately got bounced out of that. Okay, now if I wanted to go to the next student for them to be able to share their screen, I toggle that back on, and I can ask any one of you to share your screens now. Okay, so that's going to help give you some additional, thank you. That's going to help give you some additional leverage within the classroom to make sure that you have a little bit more control of what students can share and also see. And And that also holds true for the chat messages. So one thing that we'll put out for you just to consider as you do your back to school nights virtually, you may want to have the ability for parents to share their screens and send chat messages off, just so that it's not a distraction to you. And quite frankly, there's no reason they'd have to share their screen, right? So we can definitely toggle that one off. But if you didn't want to have the burden of looking at live chat messages as they're coming in, and you just wanted to take that off so you could answer live questions later, you would just push that to make sure that it's off, and then you're done. Do we have any questions about host controls? Okay, we did our screen sharing, and so now troubleshooting. So one of the things that we'd like to review with you today is, let's see here. Okay, so these are just some good tips for everyone for successful Google Meets. The more we have running, the harder the computer is going to have to work to run that Google Meet. So it's going to take more bandwidth, it's going to slow down your computer. And whether it's the MacBook or the Chromebook, the Google Meet is very heavy on resources. So you're going to want to make sure that you have your Chromebook or your MacBook plugged in to the power, because that's going to give you more battery. It's going to sustain the battery life. If you need power strips for your classroom, please let Lenovo know. And if she doesn't have any more left, we'll send more over, because that you might want to have that as your setup so that you can plug everything in easily. One thing that you can see here on my screen, I have a lot of, I don't have a lot of other tabs open, but every other tab that I have open, including that Google Meet that I just was showing to you guys before, is going to take away from what I have from what my computer has to offer. So we want to make sure that anything that is not essential at that moment, including things like email and maybe your drive, you want to close those down as well. Another tip that we want to make sure you're aware of is that it's going to be harder for your Meet to be successful if you're also trying to share stream video to your students during the course of the Meet. So what do I mean? If I want students to watch a YouTube video, what I should do is share it with them through Google Classroom and ask them to watch it for homework. Because if I'm trying to stream a YouTube video while we're on the Meet, it's probably going to cause more of a delay and a degradation of resources, and that could be troublesome for our Meet. So the best thing to do is share those things separately, have students watch them on their own for homework, and then you can talk about it when you're back in that live Meet.
One of the things we have to keep in mind is when we're in Meets, we are also dealing with what technology students have available at home while they're using our device that we've given to them as a district. Our device is relying on their internet connection at home. So the more we try to tax their internet connection at home by just adding to what we're doing already in Meets, the more issues we might potentially run into. So that's why we're saying limit that as much as possible. Try to do those videos at a separate time rather than trying to do a Meet and a video all at the same time.
Melissa, it's Charlene. So the first week of school, I shared a video, and in the beginning, I did have some problems. The students told me it was laggy, but if you do have to share it, I found it works so much better if instead of sharing your entire screen, you just share a Chrome tab. the video was perfect that way, and there was no laggingness at all.
Yeah, thank you. So that's another thing that's also going to, I'll stop sharing my screen and demonstrate what Charlene is talking about. So if I wanted to then go back into my Meet and I want to present again, I'm going to present now. And this here is what Charlene's talking about, choosing the Chrome tab, because that's going to give you sound and it's also best for the video and the animation. So you would click on that and then you have to choose the exact tab that you want. So these are the same as these. Up here, it's just a list. But then what that means is you can't navigate back and forth with showing your Google Classroom and then also showing the YouTube video. You'd have to just be on that one for that time period. And then you would, so let's say, right now, let's say I'm going to share just the tech tips with you. Okay, so I'm just sharing this tab with you now. That's all you can see. Everything else is not visible for you to see, but I can't navigate back and forth between my other tabs. You can't, can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're good. They're good. Yeah, you're still seeing my Google Meet, my tech tips, even though I'm changing my own tabs. I can see that I'm changing the tabs. You can see that because Tyler's holding up this screen for me, but everybody that's at home is not able to see that. So what I want to do is I want to go back and stop sharing my tab, and back into my Meet, and then I can share my full screen again.
Melissa, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So right now you're sharing directly with the device that has the Meet. You're not sharing through the second device, correct?
Correct.
Because
So
you
Tyler is holding the Chromebook. That's my secondary device. That is just right now what is showing what's happening around the classroom, because I tend to move a lot and I want to be able to see and show different things in the classroom. For example, you can still see this. If I wanted to come over here and then work on this board, I can do that very easily. And then I would be able to write on it and draw it. But I still have over here, I still have my other device connected to my ClearTouch panel. So basically what that means is this is whatever's connected to my ClearTouch panel, that's my teaching device. It has all of my resources. It has everything that I want to share with students during the day or during that lesson. And then this other device really just helps me be mobile and show other things around the room, whether it's small groups or other areas of the classroom. So let's say, for example, I want to come over to the Book Nook and I want to sit down and read my students a story. So I can very easily come over here and have a different vantage point. Everything's still up there on the ClearTouch panel and my other device, whether it's the MacBook or the Chromebook. But now I have the flexibility to move around the classroom and be able to do something else in another space where I just need you to be able to see me.
the one that's attached to the ClearTouch, you joined it. You used join, not present.
This time I chose join and not present. Yes.
Okay, because I tried today doing present and I found that I kept on losing the network.
Oh, interesting. We'll have to check that out.
I put a ticket in.
One of the things that, unfortunately we just have to work through is everyone in the world is using Google Meets all at the same time every day.
Okay.
So there are going to be hiccups along the way randomly. So usually it comes in the form of getting bounced out of a Meet here or there or something to that effect. The best thing we can say is make sure you don't have all your a lot of tabs open, and then just make sure you don't have any super crazy extensions enabled, and we'll talk about that. And if you've checked those two things and it's still continuing to be a problem, reboot. then you can go ahead and put a ticket in, and we'll stop by and address and take a look on our end if there's anything that we need to address.
Okay.
But just know that during these beginning few months as we enter the school year, Google Meets is trying to work through balancing all of the traffic that they are attempting to handle at this time.
I came late because I had an outside duty. You may have addressed this. So both devices are in the Meet as join.
Yes,
And
Right.
you muted the one. Did you mute one of them?
yes. So I have the device, so the MacBook is right here.
Yes.
And again, this is interchangeable. It could be the Chromebook, depending on which I decided to plug into the ClearTouch. The ClearTouch is connected to this device right here,
Okay.
and I have it muted.
Okay.
Now, if I wanted to, if I felt like it was too distracting for students to be able to see me this way and this way, I could always shut off my camera as well. So you're only seeing me from this angle, but it's still showing everything that's up here on the smart board, on the ClearTouch panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think what you're referring to is the difference between joining on the MacBook or on the ClearTouch versus presenting.
Yes.
There's a few different situations why you might do one over the other.
Yes.
Joining the Meet is appropriate when you want your physical students, if you have physical students, to be able to kind of better interact with the other students that are in your virtual side of the classroom.
Yes.
Or if you just want to be able to, you yourself want to be able to see those students up on the board. If that's not the case, you always want to do the present method. Okay, we have this method enabled right now just for the sake of what we're doing in this presentation, but normally we would want to hit present instead of join now.
Okay.
The one connected to the ClearTouch.
I'm going to demonstrate right now the difference between those two things, but in order to do that, I need to cancel the Meet on this end. So on the one that's connected to the ClearTouch. So you'll all stay connected there, but I'm going to log out of this Meet session, and then I'll log back in real quick, and I'll show you the difference between the view. So just know that right now, in this view, you're seeing everything and everyone. And when we come back, you're only going to see just my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys can see this now. Before I was on join, but this time, I don't know where I put the pen. There it is. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, now before I was on join, so you can see everything. Here I'm just on present. Okay, so now you're just seeing what's on the computer. What that also means, what's on the smart board, the ClearTouch, I'm sorry. What you're also not going to get then during present view here is you're not going to get any of the audio from me talking into the MacBook, okay? The audio that you're getting is only when you choose join now, and that's going to be from the other device.
Clicking present is almost like, you know how you plug your ClearTouch into your laptop so that you can put your screen onto your ClearTouch? Clicking present is as if you're plugging your laptop into the Google Meet so that you can show your screen onto Google Meet. Okay, that's it. Clicking join now is you joining the Meet so that you can interact with the students by talking to them and seeing them.
So what we would suggest is have one device with your sound on and the other device has the sound off, okay? So that whether you're doing through join or present. This way you don't get that feedback.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let me stop sharing. I'm going to join the Meet again regularly now. I'm going to hang up. Okay. And I don't know if you noticed, but now that we're back into the Meet, we have the 3 buttons here. So we have the mute, the hang up, and the video. When I was just in present mode, you can come in.
Are you on here?
They're online.
Oh.
We're meeting virtually and in person, so welcome.
Oh.
You know. So when you're in present only mode, the only option that you have is to hang up. So that's the difference between the two also, because then it's not giving you the video or the sound option. Okay, they're done with flu shots and I'm late, so I'll get over there at some point. Middle school's doing flu shots today and I signed up, but they're already done. So, okay, what do we miss?
The only other thing is that we kind of mentioned this earlier. At the end of every meet, you want to make sure that you kick a student out and make sure that you're the last person to leave the meet. Okay, so you want to make sure that all the students are removed before you leave. You can also use this feature if you have a student that is causing issues during the meet. Say you've had to mute them several times, or say that they're just causing a distraction. It's become a disciplinary issue and you need to remove a student from the meet and address that issue later. You can do the same thing. So you would go to that people menu, you would scroll down to the student that is being a problem. So in this case, we'll say it's VDV student again. You would log down and you would remove them. One of the new things to note that they've just added about removing a student or a participant from a meet is that they will not be able to rejoin this meet until you restart. Meaning that until you've ended this meet and everyone has logged off and you start a new one, the student that you remove from the meet will not be able to join again. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay, so let's walk through it. So we're going to make believe right now that for whatever reason we need to remove VDB student from the meet. So I'm going to go over here to show all of my participants. I'm finding my Vanderveer student. And what I want to do is click on the student's name and then we see that little arrow. You want to go down a little bit further. And then since it's muted, he's already muted, Vanderveer student, so I can't mute that student again. But I can, I can do this and choose this. Excuse me, it's a little difficult to see, but it's the little circle with a minus sign in the middle of it. So I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to ask me, am I sure I want to remove that student? And remember, that means that it's going to be for the duration of the meet. So once all of the students have logged out and I start it up again, they can come back tomorrow or later in the day, but just not until this entire thing is completed. So I'm going to remove. Vanderveer student is going to go bye-bye. And this is what the student will see. Maybe. Okay, it says that they've been removed from the meeting. And because we're doing Chromebook to Chromebook, that's why you're seeing it. Were you able to see that? Everybody able to see that? No? Okay, let's try that again.
Stop presenting your screen first. So it'll say you have been removed from the meeting. That's what the student side will see.
Okay. Now, if that student tries to go back in, they can't. Their only option is to return to the home screen. And then what I would have to do is I would have to say, okay, everyone, everybody's going to log out before the end of class. So I would wait for all of the students to log out. And if they haven't logged out, then I can go over, I can find the student and remove them one by one until I am the last one out. That will ensure that no one can get into the meet until you start the next one. And just to review, to start the next one that next day, we're coming up here to our Google Classroom and we're starting from this link. each and every time. Okay? What questions do we have?
Melissa, it's Chris Garreau. I have a, hi, sorry, I had another meeting. Sorry, I'm late. So I apologize if you've already answered this at the beginning, but I tried presenting something yesterday, and the parents there was one parent who was able to see because they knew how to pin the presentation and see it, but nobody else was able to see. So do you have a short little tutorial video that I could share with the parents to show them how to do this? Because otherwise I can't present anything because they can't see it.
Okay, so I don't yet, but I can make one real quick when I hop back to the office after this, but let me show you how to do it. So
Okay.
I'm going to go back here and make sure that I'm choosing right now to present my screen to you. So I'm choosing present now. I'm going to choose my entire screen. Now I choose the window and hit share.
They have iPads. Is that going to make a difference?
It's
It might, so it will be different, slightly different instructions. What I would say is if you're doing a portion of a class where it's not really important for all of your students to see like each other, then I would say it might be best if you're presenting to do the spotlight view, just because that will ensure that your presentation is always first and foremost on the screen. Okay, if you want them to see each other, then they can always do the tiled view. But I would say that doing the spotlight view is best. So again, you change that by doing the 3-dot menu, change layout, and then spotlight view. And then that will ensure that your presentation is always on top. You can also do sidebar. Sidebar is cool too. It'll show just a few students on the right-hand side of their screen.
so what we would
Tyler, is that the same on the iPad? Because I do have a few tech savvy parents, some who have no idea, but I do have a couple who do know what they're doing. And I don't know what they see on the iPad because I don't have one of the student iPads. And, I tried to explain to them, to go to the 3 dots and then pick tiled view. And they said they don't have that on their end on the iPad. So they're not able to see any of the other students. Everybody's name is just listed on the side. So if they clicked on a person, they would be able to see it. So the same happens like if an instructional assistant comes in and we're both on, they can see me, but they can't see the other person unless they pin the other person. So they're not getting any kind of tile view or sidebar where they can see everybody. But because I don't have a student iPad, I don't know how to walk them through the steps of what they should do.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll recreate it from a student iPad and come up with a video and also steps to help you try to troubleshoot that. So we'll recreate the issue on a student iPad.
Okay, thanks. And when I share, if I just wanted, if I had just one thing that I wanted to show them, like say it was a chart of something, I should just share a tab so that it's just sharing that one part. Which one do I choose?
So it's going to be whatever is most comfortable to you. So if it's just a chart and that's all you want to share for that time span of the meet and you're sure you're not going to go anywhere else, then you can just choose to share the tab. I tend to be, if you haven't noticed already, a little all over the place sometimes. So I wouldn't want to be locked into just one tab. So I always share my entire screen, but that's an individual preference. So what we were starting to say before is that, there are things that will tell you are possible, but you have to decide what is most comfortable to you. And if you just want to share the tab, then you share that tab and that's fine. So,
but if I share the whole screen, then I have the option of flipping back and forth between different things.
Yeah. Whatever you're looking at on your screen when you share your whole screen is exactly what they're going to be seeing. So it's a little bit easier to keep track of. If you share a tab, you have to kind of have in the back of your head, okay, am I showing this tab or do I have to switch to this tab so that they can see what I'm looking at? Okay, but if you do the entire screen, you don't have to think about it at all. Anything you're looking at, they're looking at.
And let me show you something else just to capitalize on that a little bit. So if I go to present now, and I just want to do a Chrome tab like we were doing before, Charlene had brought up that this is the best way to share video, although we're trying to share video differently offline. But let's say, for example, I wanted to just show my my Google Classroom tab. So I just have my Google Classroom tab selected. So now I'm going to choose share. So now you can see everything that's on this tab. You'll be able to see me right now if you can see both, if you can see the one that I'm on, that I'm presenting to you. That screen should stay on this Google Classroom. But I have the ability from here to move to different tabs. So I'm seeing that I went to this tab, but the kids at home aren't seeing that. And where we will, where you can definitely see that is where it says to stop sharing that other tab and then share this tab instead. So you can bounce back and forth, but you just have to, it's another thing to remember if you're going to choose that option.
Okay. And when I present, in order for me to see the kids also, I have to have two screens open, correct?
So when you present, you need to have two screens open for you to be able to see. Well, so I'm presenting, let me stop this. I'm going to go back in to share my whole screen. Okay, so now what we're seeing is, I'm going to put that one back there. So now you can see my screen. You can see everything that I'm presenting. I want to show you the tech tips. Now you can see all of that. Now, when I look over here on the student side, because I have that tile view set up, okay, I have a student computer over here. That student is able to see exactly what I'm presenting on the Clear Touch, but also can see the grid view of the other students that are in the Meet. So the student can see that from that side. You would see it best from being within that window. So what I would suggest is, one, because we don't have to have this one set up for video. Here's my MacBook. Here's all the students that I can see. I can see them, but I'm also teaching over here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Other questions that you guys might have?
Melissa, it's Megan Lamarca, on back again for a second meet here. Question about, so the grid extension sorts the kids alphabetically by their first name because that's how their username comes up. So that's how I've switched my rosters. But if I uninstall the grid extension to be able to see them that way and just go off of Google, what order does it sort the students, and do they see the same tiled layout in order that we see?
Yeah, so they're going to see exactly what you're seeing, and they're going to see it listed in alphabetical order for their first name.
So the best way to do attendance, the best way to do attendance and to go through, because the tile view, the list is going to be in the same order. That's always listed by first name alphabetically. Okay. The tiles might jump around based on who talked last and who's talking the most. Okay, so you'll see we're talking the most, right? So that's why our tile is kind of at the top of the screen. So this might be different for you or for different people. So your best bet is to always go to this people view, because you're always going to get everyone and they're always going to be in alphabetical order.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, what else?
It's Holly. I just had two quick things. First, are students able to record class meets?
No, we have
Okay.
disabled that. So now that being said, they cannot record class Google Meets like I am right now by going here and recording through the Meet itself. However, sorry, work is calling me at work. However, they can record it on their like doing Screencastify or
Okay.
phone or something like that.
Okay. And then the second thing, going back to when it was brought up about all the lag time and things like that, a couple of my students had brought in their laptops, and in just conversation they were saying that they were having trouble with different things because they couldn't connect, or they were being there was like fuzziness or whatever. So I had them open up their laptops to try to help them. And for the younger students, they're still having all of their Google Classrooms open for all of their specials with their Meet tab, even though the Meet is over. So like some of the kids have like 6 or 7 tabs open. So I cleared it all out. So, I mean, I guess it's just something for us to just remind maybe at open house or something that, the parents need to kind of just be, piggybacking them at the end of the Meet to making sure, because that'll help for the next time.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And tomorrow night we have our first parent academy where I'll be going over Google Meet and Google Classroom tips for parents. And so part of that will be going over those things. And then we'll also have a video to try to, reiterate that to families, especially for families that move in throughout the school year.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, that's going to be one of the things that, and I see it, we see it all the time. I mean, kids, a lot of adults don't always know how to close out those tabs, and the kids definitely don't. So
Sure.
What we want to try to, get everybody to understand is if we're not using it, we want to lose it. We want to close that out. And, we could even go into kind of showing them how to bookmark their meets, but I don't want to get into that because that would be right now, because that would be a little bit complicated to show them. But maybe even just a simple reminder at the end, like right before. So I'm presenting my screen right now so you can see, and I'm going to say, okay, everybody remember to find that X up at the top where our Google Meet is, and I want you to click on that, like on the count of 3, and then wait to see who does it, kick out anybody else who hasn't, and then we want to reiterate that again during the next class. It's just until they get used to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have other hands raised. Sorry there. Just open up your mic and let us know what you have questions.
Okay, this is Kathy Petrell. Hi. Couple things. When on the stream in Google Meet, I thought we were told to add Rob and Lenova onto our classroom, into each of our classrooms. Aren't they getting like an email with everything I send to parents now?
So here, I think you're talking here about adding them as the teachers.
Yes.
So they have access to it, but they're not going to get the notifications that parents get. So parents can choose their notifications, whether it's weekly or it's daily, and the parents will only get notifications if something's due or if something's late. What you get as a teacher or a co-teacher in this space is shared files within your drive of the assignments, as well as calendar notifications when assignments are due, and also emails when assignments are pushed out to students.
Okay, so regular, I don't know a lot about all what you just talked about. The regular stream, right? That's on my homepage or whatever. I really can't see the smart board there. Yeah, I think it's like right under that. Yeah, share something with your class. Now, when I shared something with my class and I had added my instructional assistant there, she came in the next morning and said, oh, that was great. I got an email about that. So I'm assuming my principals are getting emails for every single thing I send as well.
So they probably are, but I'll tell you, for myself, I shut off those notifications. So I created a filter in my email to bypass that because
Okay,
I'd be drowning.
that's
I
what I
know-
feel like.
I know I've showed it to some of the administrators. I don't remember who exactly did it or not, but don't worry about them getting bombarded with too much because we can kind of turn that off.
Okay.
It just wanted me able to see what the students are learning, and it also helps us, be able to troubleshoot. But yeah, don't worry about those email
Well,
notifications.
that's on their end. All right.
Yeah,
And
the parents get something different.
okay, great. In the iPad, I've been assuming, I didn't change any settings from how you gave them to them. When I've been meeting with them, I'm assuming they've been seeing everybody in like a tile view. Have they been seeing just me? Like if they haven't changed it, what have they been seeing?
So Charlene is helping us out here, and she said she joined on her iPad. You tap on the person on the right side, there are 3 dots, and you can pin a person or the presentation. So we're gonna have to look into that a little bit more for the kindergarten kids because we were really trying to give them a device that had touch capability, and at the time that was the iPads were really the only thing that we could give them.
Sure.
The Chromebooks are starting to come in. So, but and Google Meets are not native to the Apple. It's like they're just completely different, brands basically. So, while Google tends to try to make everything work, it's not always the case on the Apple side because they want you to continue buying their products. So, what I would say to that is, let us do some testing on it to see how it looks on the student side. Come up with and thank you, Charlene, for looking into that for us. Come up with some easy like tutorials or steps that you or parents can take to try to remedy that. And if that isn't helpful or successful, then we look to another option.
Okay.
Just
So you
to let
think
you
we're seeing everybody?
So just so I can share a little bit, when they're looking at the iPad, they're going to see like the last person that joined. But then on the right, they see they see about 6 people. And if they tap on that person or the presenter, it will show up on the main part of the screen. If they don't see what they're looking for, it will bring up like the people chat, and then they can click on the 3 dots and see that screen. They can pin it.
Yeah, by default, Meets tries to pick a view that makes sense, or that Meets thinks it makes sense. So I wouldn't always go into Meets assuming that every student can see every other student, because that's probably not going to be the default setting. Meets is going to try to show the most appropriate, spotlight person that it thinks is who is in everyone's best interest to be looking at.
Okay. So then they're usually seeing me larger than everyone else.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Oh wait, no, I want to remove you. Sorry, I want to do it.
Chris and Kathy, I can come down to your room tomorrow with my iPad joined and just show you what they see.
That would be great, Charlene, because I'm assuming that they're seeing one thing, and then I have, a parent saying that is not what we're seeing. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
So the other thing that might be you'll notice is that as other people were talking, that's what took over this view. So that might be one of the things that's happening there. So thank you, Charlene, for your assistance with that. That would be really great. Because I'm going to go back to this layout now and try to show you the tiled view again so we have everybody back together with us. Who else Whitney, did you have a question?
I did, but Patty had her hand raised first, so I want her to go, and then I'll go after.
Mine's just real quick. So I used to close every meet when I was done. I would make it not visible to the students. Is that necessary, or can I keep all my meetings in all my classes visible?
As long as, that's up to you, but as long as you have removed all of the students from each meet before you sign out of it, you don't have to do that. That's just extra work for you to do. It is a safeguard, but I would say no, just remember to be the last person out of the meet. And if you ever have any, any question, or, you just want to safeguard it, you could always go back and check the meet, see if anybody else is still in there. And if not, you could always disable that by shutting it off.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you. Dang, did I forget? I'll come back, Melissa. I might have to just like email you on the side. Oh, no, I got it. I'm sorry. I came back. I apologize, everybody. So I know that I have put in a ticket for this, but I wasn't quite sure if this was something that was doable. Is there a way, and I don't know if this even exists, for there to be a video for the parents to teach the parents on how to do shortcuts, make shortcuts for the kids to get on to Google Meets, to get onto their classroom, and to get onto their email? Because that's one thing that, they're only 7 and 8, so they're struggling with how to access these things on their own. And sometimes their parents aren't available because they are working, and then they're asking us to stop teaching so that they can catch up. But it's kind of hard because we only have 2 hours. Is that something that the tech team might be able to do?
So what I would like to do then is I would need more information about how you've already taught kids how to do it. Because I could come up with a way, and Tyler could come up with a different way, and we could create those videos, but then I wouldn't want it to be more confusing for someone else. So we'd really be, ideally the best way to do that would be to work with the individual teachers and say, okay, what is your process? How have you been teaching students how to navigate and get to this app or that app? And then work with you to create your own screencastify that's like your classroom procedures. You know, we do if we do anything that's like a blanket kind of video, we always have to try to make it super generic. And I don't think that would be that helpful because you guys have already been doing it. So why don't we set aside some time next week? I'll sit down with you, maybe kind of just look at what your process is as you're working with your kids and just like kind of observe a little bit. And then we can make that video together. I'll help you with screencasting.
Wonderful. That sounds perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And that just goes back to one of the things that we were talking about before is there's so many different ways to do things that if you're more comfortable, with a different setup, then do that. Do whatever works best for you. We kind of stripped away some of the things that we showed yesterday because we felt like I said before, we reflected, we thought we maybe gave out too much yesterday. One of the things that we went over was Jamboard, which is really like a whiteboard application, which we would love to show you. We just didn't want to, overwhelm anyone. So that's something that we can offer in the next couple weeks.
So I think before we wrap up too, we'll go over, we got a list of some common questions that people were asking. One of them that popped up often was people asking about the camera being backwards, meaning that like text, when you're looking at your screen at what your computer is looking at on your side, all your letters are backwards. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? Yes? Okay. So that's only on your side. So as you've seen, like with us showing the camera, like if I bring this up to the smartboard and you read this text on the board, right? Like that's all correct for you. It's backwards for me. Okay. And that's because, believe it or not, we've never seen ourselves the way other people see us. Okay. If you think about it, we only see ourselves through a mirror, meaning when our right hand goes up, our right hand goes up. Okay. For other people, our right hand is on their left side. Okay. So Google Meets tries to make it feel more natural for you looking at yourself as if you're looking at yourself in the mirror. But everyone else on the other side of the Meet, they're looking at you normally, meaning that letters look backwards to you, but they're normal to everyone else. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a brain thing that Google tries to address, because if you looked at yourself the way other people looked at you, you'd be all kinds of messed up. And trust me, you don't think you would be, but you are. because I've worked in apps where they do it that way, and it's very confusing.
Tyler, can I ask a question with recorders? It's important that they put their left hand up. So if I put my left hand up, it's going to be their opposite, right? Correct?
So it's exactly how you would have taught it in the classroom.
Okay,
You have to
perfect.
pay no attention to what is on the screen. It's exactly how they would have seen you if they were sitting in front of you in a classroom.
Thank you.
So the other thing just to be mindful of that too is that we wouldn't want to, if a student, we ask a student to show up, hold their work up to their device, it's going to look backwards to them and it's going to be confusing to them. So for right now, let me see. Okay, I am the student here. I'm looking at it. It looks backwards to me. It's that mirror image. But I know that it's being shown correctly because I can see it through that other meat. So do you see what I'm saying? That it's now you can't see what I see. For me, it looks backwards. So for a student to hold up, can you do it like that? For a student to hold up their work and then try to talk about it, it's going to be confusing to them. So don't have them do that.
The other common question that came through is a few things of features that are coming down the road. So like things like breakout rooms, we're not forgetting about that. That is a feature that's coming, so it's not out yet. We'll keep you posted on when it is, as well as Google Attendance. That's a feature that's being launched this week, and that will be available. So as that gets rolled out from Google, we will give more information on that. But as I said, those features are not rolled out to users yet. So we will keep you posted as to when they are available and provide some information on how to utilize them most effectively.
Bless you. So I think we hit pretty much everything that was on the list. There are some things that that we're questioning about, like how to do guided reading virtually, and some more curriculum based, like best programs to facilitate the virtual students and things like that. So some of those questions are a little bit more of a marriage between technology and curriculum. So we were just trying to give some of the basics today so that we didn't overwhelm everyone with a lot of different things. And then moving forward, we'll try to have very specific Google Meets that are on a topic or two. It might be technology, it might be curriculum, and it might be a combination of both. Okay, so if you have things that you're interested in learning about, please put in a ticket, because then that helps us see how many people are interested in the same thing. And then, as we move forward, we'll be offering more opportunities to work with you on more specific applications and programs. Okay, anything else?
I think I've run out of stuff to talk about.
Okay, I have as well, believe it or not. So what we're going to do right now, just to kind of recap, is I'm going to demonstrate removing people from the Meet until everyone is out, because then I know that this space is safe. So if you guys need anything, you reach out to us. But for right now, I'm going to start saying goodbye and removing our participants. Thank you for joining us.